Hi, my name is Dan Haake. I'm with HDR, and I'm here to talk about the Greenup Boyd County Freight Plan. As we mentioned during our last meeting, the purpose of the project is really to develop a comprehensive understanding and profile of the existing multimodal freight network in Greenup and Boyd counties. But ultimately, our goal is to support decision makers when they have to make funding and investment decisions to help address freight needs both in terms of economic development, but also livability. The plan itself is obviously focused on Greenup and Boyd counties, but we also understand that freight is multi-jurisdictional, and that we're looking, across the Midwest and across the nation, and how the freight network and the freight activities in Greenup and Boyd County relate. Deliverables, we'll be doing a freight plan, a series of one-pagers. We'll discuss some of those initial ones today, and then some GIS files that will help this plan live on with Kiowa staff. And that ultimately the deadline for this project is the end of September, but we're on track for a midsummer completion. So today we're going to talk about closing up the freight system profile with a series of easy to read, digestible one-pagers, and then some initial work on our economic development task. So the one-pagers. Last month we went into detail on the 50-page or so freight profile, and we wanted to make sure that we provided Kiowa and the bigger region some one-pagers that captures key takeaways in a digestible form, because not everyone is going to read a 50-page document. So the first one discusses freight highway conditions. So we're looking at bridge conditions and travel time reliability, which is really important to truckers, and then overall safety. The next one looks at those last mile connections. So we defined last mile connectors between major freight generators and the Kentucky and national freight networks. So these are those 6 sets of connectors. We looked at other modes other than highway, including air and maritime. Obviously on the left, be air, and the majority of air traffic going to FedEx and Memphis. And then on the right, we talk about water ports and marine highways. We also discussed rail and pipelines, obviously key to how the region functions. Pipelines, and discussing the relationship between the Marathon Refinery and UPS World Ports, and the fact that jet fuel is actually transported down the Ohio River. And then truck origins and destinations. So where are truck trips beginning and ending, and how do they relate to Greenup and Boyd County? Then we started our economic development task, and that task is focused on, I call it a reverse site selector criteria, where we view freight movement as a utility and look at a site and see what it could support, or whether it supports a proposed development. So the first one we looked at, and these are preliminary answers, so don't quote me on these results, but we looked at I-64 and US 23 outside the Marathon site. There's a lot of available land, and we found that the current roadway on US 23 could actually handle 3 times more truck traffic before impacting real level of service. And then we looked at a proposed development. So this is formerly known as Brady Industries, but it's Unity Aluminum today. Based on open source job information, there's been proposed that there'll be 550 jobs at the aluminum refinery, and then there will be 2,500 supporting jobs in ancillary industries. We used those numbers, some trip generation figures, both available from ITE and also TRB's NCHRP program, and estimated that even if we increased truck trips by 10%, it overall wouldn't affect the road, State Highway 67, going down I-64. And one thing we're going to be looking a little bit closer to is the relationship with those additional trucks and the interchange, but we assumed all those jobs would take place in East Park with Brady. just for sakes of analysis. Next steps. So we're continuously engaged in stakeholder outreach. That's an ongoing process that will happen throughout the project. We're going to undergo a mid-project check-in, and we've done a lot of analysis to date, and the next steps are doing scenario planning, looking at uncertainty and how to manage it, a SWOT analysis to bring everything together, and then an effort to match money to projects, and prioritization is the last task of the project, and we want to make sure that the conclusions that we made so far to date are all in agreement, both from a staff standpoint and a steering committee standpoint. So we'll be having a mid-year or mid-project check-in coming up here in the next month or so. So stay tuned, some really interesting stuff. Analysis is largely complete, and now we start looking to the future. And as always, feel free to call, text, or WhatsApp me, or even email me. Have an open door policy even before COVID, so please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or comments, or want to dig deeper into the analysis. Thank you.